Now, the input of the Arab world, indeed the Muslim world, you've got countries like Indonesia having input into this peace deal. How important is that? And it seems that Iran is completely isolated here.
Yes, it is interesting because the divide of trust between the Israeli side for years and years and centuries and ostensibly the other side has been too wide. And it is difficult for someone like America that has historically been very pro-Israel and still is its strongest ally, coming in and playing that mediation role, rather than that sort of being the coordinator and letting these other sides bridge that divide is helpful. And having Muslim nations, Indonesia is one of the largest by population, though it's not in the Middle East, does provide a little bit more skin in the game and maybe acceptance and trust building for the Palestinians and whatever government, forms coming out of this. So it feels like it's better to have people that are actually either religiously attached to that region or geographically attached or both have more skin in the game rather than everything being directed by Big Brother America. That just hasn't worked very well, and the American people don't want that.
Now, let's have a look at some of the interactions President Donald Trump had with the world leaders. He almost forgot Keir Starmer was even there, the man who has done really nothing to help this peace deal. Watch this awkward moment.
Where's the United Kingdom? Where's our friend? Where? Come here. Is everything going good?
Very good.
It's very nice that you're here. These people all came in like 20-minute notice, and I think it's fantastic. And we have so many others, and just so many others.
Oh dear, I think he thought he was going to have his little moment and he was going to speak. You're not speaking, Keir. You had nothing to do with it. In fact, the likes of Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron from France, our own Prime Minister Albanese, really, they did not help this peace deal. They, if anything, set it back. And Marco Rubio made that point, didn't he? That every time one of them would pull a stunt, recognise the Palestinian state, the Palestinians would walk away from the negotiating table.
This moment, from a leadership perspective, belongs to President Trump. Everybody knows it, whether they admit it with celebration or they admit it begrudgingly. But you'll find these other people who want to sort of just steal a little bit of the credit. It's these world leaders. It's the Biden administration people were all over TV yesterday saying how they came up with the framework and they're glad to see that Trump and his team implemented the framework they were the originators of. So they're all kind of trying to do that. But everyone knows, and that's why you see him really seizing this moment. And if I were Keir Starmer, I might have come up with something a little bit different, like half a step back, stay in the frame, as opposed to completely turning his back and going that way. That didn't look good.
There was the quintessential Trump-Macron handshake. It happened again. Let's have a look at it. It went on for some time. They've become famous for this almost. They try to get the dominant position in the handshake. This one was another one that was notable. Have a look at this interaction right after the press conference. This is between Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and President Trump. Carney thanks Trump for upgrading him to president instead of calling him prime minister. And Trump responds as quick as a flash with, well, I could have called you governor.
So you going back?
I'll go back. I'm glad you upgraded me to president.
Oh, did I say?
Great stuff. That's good. I started.
At least I didn't say that.
Yes, of course, referring to earlier this year, Kosha, when Trump was talking about Canada becoming the 51st state, and yeah, Carney would be governor then.
And now that he's achieved peace in the Middle East, maybe that will be back on the table, that agenda along with Greenland, we shall see. But it's funny because Americans, the word prime minister isn't as natural in the vocabulary, so he slipped out president. Carney made a joke, and it was really funny how he is quick. And he was like, hey,
yeah, quick as a flash, he came back with, I could have called you governor, so just be happy you got president instead of prime minister. That peace deal, that trade deal is still underway, isn't it? So, and Trump has spoken about this, about how he's using those tariffs, those trade deals to end wars and to get buy-in from different countries to do what America wants them to do. And I think, again, that's something that the Trump administration doesn't get credit for. There's more that goes into this than just saying we're going to have tariffs and we're going to raise X billion dollars per year from tariffs.
Yep.
It's a real negotiating tool.
It is, and it's his favorite tool because it's not the military. He really does hate war and wants to avoid U.S. troops on the ground as much as possible, which is a departure from previous administrations from both sides of the aisle. And tariffs is something he loves. He's being sued by it domestically. There is that case still making its way up to the Supreme Court saying you don't have the power to exercise tariffs, which is crazy when you think about it, because he has been using it, and he reportedly did use it even here, like bringing those Arab nations to the table back as we were just discussing. Reportedly, a big part of that was actually offering greater trade deals, not necessarily tariffs, but more incentives, financial incentives to invest in the U.S. He did that big trip in the Middle East a few months ago. It's all linked. It's all linked. You want to be in the good graces of the U.S. and get access to the most desirable consumer market in the world. And in exchange, if you're Canada and Mexico, stop the fentanyl. If you're the Middle East, come to the table and help secure peace. And on it goes. China is, of course, the tricky one, but that's another story for another day.
Yep. Now, Donald Trump features on Time magazine's front cover. Let's have a look. They write, the living Israeli hostages held in Gaza have been freed under the first phase of Donald Trump's peace plan alongside a Palestinian prisoner release. The deal may become a signature achievement of Trump's second term, and it could mark a strategic turning point for the Middle East. All sorts of Captain Obvious commentary there. But Kosha, Time could not help themselves. They had to run a terrible picture, terrible angle. They are just so petty. They just couldn't say, OK, we're going to put him on the front page and it's going to be a complimentary story for once. He's going to be on the front cover. No, they had to put the most hideous photo they could find.
And I have to imagine he's very unhappy about that because he's somebody who's very, conscious of image. And he's put out some amazing, iconic pictures, thankfully. That this one is not as important as it would have been pre-social media. He's got the fight photo. He's got the mugshot. He's got beautiful inauguration photos. But it is petty. You could say that they at least were one step better than the Nobel Committee, who wouldn't even deign to award him the prize. At least these guys gave him the cover. But yes, I don't think it's a coincidence that they chose that very unflattering photo.
Kosha Gada, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.